All right. So, what we're looking at today is another situation where the Trump administration is up to its old games again. So, as you can see here, Trump blocks Fauci testimony before Democratic House, but he is free to speak before Republican Senate. So, there's a few different things going on here. Basically, we saw this before. We saw this when Congress was trying to investigate Trump and anything related to Trump. He just started blocking witnesses, right? Saying, nope, executive privilege. This person is not going to go before Congress. And basically, on a number of different fronts, has kept Congress from being able to be its constitutional check and balance against Trump. So, from a CNBC article, we see, quote, the House Appropriations Committee's Subcommittee on the Departments of Labor and Human Services, Education, and related agencies wanted Fauci to appear at a Wednesday morning hearing on how the government has handled the pandemic. The panel was, quote, informed by an administration official that the White House has blocked Dr. Fauci from testifying. All right, it continues. White House spokesman Judd Deere also confirmed the White House stopped Fauci from appearing before the House. He said that while the administration tries to combat the pandemic that has now killed more than 60,000 Americans, it is counterproductive to have the very individuals involved in those efforts appearing at congressional hearings. So we've seen this, right? He goes out and people with information are being called into Congress, and Trump says, nope, you're not doing it. You're not going to testify, executive privilege. We saw this in a big way during the Mueller report. We saw this with Don McGahn. If you dove into the Mueller report, what you saw was the most egregious acts, the ones that by anyone's account, if you look at it objectively, should have been considered obstruction of justice. Don McGahn's involved, right? He was the one who he wasn't even going to follow, and he didn't follow Trump's orders because he knew that the legal implications down the road were going to be disastrous, both for him, for the administration, for everyone. So Congress really wanted to talk to Don McGahn, and Trump said nope. And in fact, that case is still working its way through the courts. Some courts have said, nope, Don McGahn doesn't have to testify. Other appeals courts have said, yes, he does. And it's still being decided, and it's probably going to end up in the Supreme Court, which we know how that's going to go because the Supreme Court has basically been stolen by the Republican Party because of Mitch McConnell's shenanigans of not appointing judges when Obama was constitutionally supposed to be able to appoint them. Mitch McConnell just said, nope, we're not doing that. So we can see how those, it seems like a small thing that the Republican Party is doing with the federal courts. It's actually a big thing because a lot of these other pieces that are going into place to stop our democracy are going to end up being figured out in the courts, which have now been taken over by the Republicans. So we see once again a situation where people want Fauci to testify, right? The reality is he's one of the few people that is trusted right now in this government, right? Looking at this situation, you listen to the doctors or you look around, you listen to the news, it certainly seems like we lost some good time in combating this. We just waited around hoping it would go away, just wishful thinking. Oh, if we just pretend like there's no virus, maybe everything's going to work out okay. And the American people, myself included, want to know if Trump had acted a month earlier or more, would we still have these 60,000 Americans dead, or would we be in a much different situation? And Congress wants to get in there and find out what Fauci has to say about how this has been handled. And Trump says, nope, that's not going to happen. It's really hard to argue that Fauci should not be talking to Congress. Why not? Okay. Then, as we see from the headline here, he is allowed to talk to the Republican Senate. Well, why would that be? Why would it be that he can't talk to the House, but he can talk to the Republican Senate? And that's because the House is controlled by the Democrats. And in the last, since we had the midterms, they've been willing to go out. They've been willing to chase down ideas, Democrat ideas. They've been willing to go after Trump. So let's face it, the House is not exactly a friend of Trump. Now, the Republican Senate, on the other hand, has made it clear through impeachment that they are never going to do anything against Trump. They couldn't even get a couple votes against him. right? So we know that the Republican senators are going to sit there and do whatever is in their best interest. And if that is to support Trump in any situation, they will. They will not be asking Fauci the hard questions. Now, it depends how all this is handled, and it's not even clear that Fauci is actually going to show up for this, because that's May 12th is a long ways off. That's a lot of time for Trump to reconsider and say, you know what, we don't want Fauci talking to the Senate either, because being in the Senate, he could still end up getting questions from Democrats who aren't afraid to ask real questions. So we'll see. We'll see if Fauci actually testifies before Republicans in the Senate. But either way, this is a miscarriage of justice. This is unacceptable that we've got Congress trying to get to the bottom of current and very important situations, and instead we just have a president who blocks it all, and then we've got William Barr who supports it all. So yeah, the Department of Justice isn't going to follow up with any of this. Just tell people not to testify, and we'll all just ignore it, right? So this is really not a good thing for our checks and balances of our country, right? We've seen a lot of erosion of these checks and balances over the last few years, and we're clearly just going to continue to see more, right? We're just going to see more and more of this kind of a thing, where when Congress wants to get to the bottom of something, the president can just say, no, we're not doing that. We're not going there, right? So I think what we're seeing is a situation where the Republicans are willing to do whatever they can to win, right? It's what their MO has become. They just keep fighting, and they don't care how they have to do it. As long as they win, that's what's important. And this is a situation that is very worrisome to me. I hope Fauci ends up testifying in both the Senate and the House. It's not going to happen, but it's what should happen from the American people. So I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. In this kind of a situation, there really is no good argument for why Fauci should not be testifying. Okay, get him up there, let him say what he has to say. And many Americans, we want to hear what he has to say. So once again, this is not rule of law. This is not checks and balances. This is not how our government is supposed to be functioning, right? We all learned how the government works when we were in school. This is not how it's supposed to work. Okay, and if we all want to work together to get a country that is about rule of law, a country that is about democracy, this is the kind of stuff that should not be blocked, right? Fauci should be testifying. He should be testifying in both the House and the Senate, and then we see what comes of that. But there should be no reason why the president can stop that from occurring, right? All right, thanks for checking out the video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can get all the new content as it becomes available, and we will see you in the future.